Today on Brace Radio, we welcome back a really great friend of ours, recurring guest. We've been on his show. We welcome back to the show, Heisman Trophy finalist, Wisconsin college football all-time great, Montee Ball. Welcome back.
What's up, fellas? And alleged great or alleged Heisman final. No, I'm kidding. That's so funny.
I was gonna say, was that a fever dream that whole year?
yeah, right. But excited to be here, guys. How you guys doing?
Good, man. Good. So
Good.
Draft time. We're right here. Obviously, you were drafted.
Let's do it.
First off, how crazy is the NFL Combine? We had Loaf on. He said it was crazy. Pro days. What's it like?
It's what people. It's hectic. It's very hectic because I love talking about this because fans what they just see is they just see the final day. They just see the
40,
the tests.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. They don't really see the other tests that you do on the computer. Like you'll do the New York Giants test, which at my time again it was like 640 questions.
Good gosh.
So the entire purpose of the combine is they want to tire you out mentally prior to the actual physical day, because their motto, I guess, what they're saying is if you can perform well under pressure while you're tired, physically tired, then that's I don't know, that's just helps out with your stock, your grade when it comes to the NFL draft. And so it's very hectic from doing that test to doing the Wonderlic test that you have to do, the interviews as well. So on the back of your lanyard, you'll have at least I'll just share mine. So I had about 14 teams that wanted to do a formal interview with me. And it's on the back of your card. And what the formal interview is each team has their own hotel room. And so what you have to do is in the 3 days, you have to knock out all these formal interviews with these teams. And what it is I went into the Broncos room and the light was flashing on my face. So I could barely see at first until my eyes adjusted, and I see Elway across the table, Coach Fox at the time across the table, some other staff personnel, and they interview you and they record it, and they have your college tape playing in the background, and they ask you questions like, okay, so what were you doing here? What the heck were you thinking here, etc. So it's very mentally draining.
Yeah, I would not be able to. I mean, obviously, I guess you're gonna get through it because you want to get to the NFL. But a 600 question test, I would just be like, C. Like, I gotta get out of here, dude. Like, this is just taking too long.
Yeah, and here's the crazy thing about it too is my last name being Ball, so I was second when it came to doing the drills. So when I was there, so the 600 question test was the Giants test, and so we knocked that out, and then they gave us 20 to 25 minutes to do the bench test. Get dressed, get warmed up. We're gonna knock out the bench test. My last name is Ball, so I'm second. I was behind CJ Anderson, who was first, and I'm like, wow.
CJ Anderson, little bowling ball.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm like, whoa, 20 to 25 minutes after just sitting in this chair for about 3 hours. Now I gotta go and try to see how much I can, and how many times I can bench 225. So they purposely do that stuff. They want you to be out of your comfort zone and see how well you perform.
So there's the famous clip of Bill Belichick talking about Gronk, where he walked into the room to interview him and he was sleeping on the ground. Do you see guys taking a little nap in between? If their last name was Z, that they can shut their eyes for 15 minutes. That's common.
Absolutely. Yep. That is for sure. Yeah. There were players with the last name, some W, of course. And yeah, once we got the drill started and stuff, they would do their warm up real quick, probably for 5-10 minutes, really just about 5 minutes. And then they just rest. And yeah, some players would lean up, they'll sit down and lean up against the wall or what have you. And, they'll be taking a quick little snooze, because during the night, you also have, they call it at the train station is what they say. And at the train station, you go to this area, and it's weird because there is a train back there, but this area where it's kind of like speed dating. So if you don't have formal interviews, you can just knock out all of these speed dating interviews where it's these coaches are at the tables and they'll just pull you to the side real quick, talk to you for 2 minutes, and you keep walking, and another team will pull you real quick. And so You have the option of doing one or the other, but they recommend that you do both, of course. And so you have players up until about 11 p.m., 12 a.m. doing these. And then you have random drug testing at about 2 a.m. or 3 a.m.
Oh my God.
So they'll randomly call you, and now you have to wake up out of bed and go stand in line because there's only one doctor that's doing the drug testing. And so you may have 20, 25 people in front of you at 2, 3 a.m. And then you got to wake up at 8 a.m. for more tests.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we spoke with Lofa, who so you went through all of this obviously for the 2013 NFL draft. He did all this for the 2005 NFL draft. So like, you know, a good generation before you of the way that it was worked. And we asked him about the interview process, and this was prior to, you know, the scandal that was, you know, the question that Des Bryant got asked. Was there any point during any of your interviews where they asked you a question that was purposefully meant to make you uncomfortable?
Yes. Yeah, that happened every single time. Every single interview that I had, they purposely throw a knuckleball at you. Purposely do it because they already know they already know you're tired. They already know you're a little stressed, you're anxious, you got the camera shining in your face, the lights, etc. And so your anxiety is high, and they want to see how you were going to answer questions under pressure. Obviously, you have to represent their brand, represent their football club, and how are you going to perform under pressure. So they also do the impact testing with you, where they'll ask you random questions, a sequence of like 10 questions. You have about a second to answer each. Questions like, what's the capital of France? Which side does the sun rise, or east or west? When does it set? Random stuff like that. And you have only about 15 seconds. And so I remember the Steelers did that with me. And it's and I pretty sure I did poorly at that. But it's hectic, man. It's stressful, but it's fun. It is a wonderful experience still after saying all that.
And you said you had 14 interviews, formal interviews that
Yes.
people went. Was there any where you're like, dude, I'm just so damn tired. Like, I don't want, like, I can't, like, not that I can't, but it's like, I really wouldn't mind if I didn't go to Cincinnati or something like that. You're like thinking about blowing it off.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think one of the teams, Jacksonville's on there. And I was just like,
do I really want to go be a Florida guy?
But so it's 14 teams on the back of my lanyard, like ID card that was on my lanyard. And each process, you dress up. I mean, you dress up like you're interviewing for a job. Literally what it is. And so exactly how you guys have interviewed for jobs is exactly how it is, but just ratchet it up by like 100. When it comes
I didn't have to run a 4 interviews.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when the testing at the end of the entire 3-day experience is different, of course.
Now leading into the testing, we talked about how, with you having the last name Ball, you're one of the first people to go. So me personally, I'm a watcher. I will watch people do something so I can I'm like, all right, how do they fuck up that drill?
Yeah.
So with you having the last name Ball, did you sort of fall into that trap of being like, I really don't have anybody to watch?
Exactly. All I had to watch was CJ Anderson, and oddly enough, it's just ironic he took my position in Denver. It's just so ironic, but good friend of mine still. But I didn't have that opportunity to be 10th or 12th in this group of running backs, and I think we were going with tight ends too. I can't remember, but the players who were 14 and 15 had the opportunity to watch some of the mistakes that the earlier guys who are higher up on the list, what they're doing. And actually, we had conversations about that too. Some of the players, they were like, man, you had the opportunity to watch how somebody was benching, like how the weights were, what it's like, all of the above. And so it's a plus to have a last name that starts with a W if you go to the NFL Combine.
Yeah. Now, did you do a pro day at Wisconsin as well?
Yep, I did. Yeah, because I ran I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's got to be a lot different, right?
Yeah, man. It's the reason why I did my pro day is because I didn't perform too well at the 40 at the NFL Combine. 4.62, but it's don't get me started on the 40-yard dash. It's we're talking tenths of a second. I mean, come on. But a little too slow. Sorry, it was my Got my nephew here, but
No worries.
but when it comes to the 40, it's I ran a 4.62 and I wanted the opportunity to do better, of course, at the pro day. Obviously, knowing it's handheld at your pro day as opposed to it being laser.
Yard
At the
markers are a
comments,
little closer.
yeah. So naturally, you're gonna run faster. But again, it's the 40-yard dash is just for the fans. It
Mhm.
really is. There is one thing though I do want to chat about. I wanted to kind of just throw out there, guys. It's the one thing about the NFL Combine too that people don't know. It was such a weird experience. First off, the entire experience was wonderful, but there was one point that was a little weird, and it was when I think it's the day before you do the bench test. They have you. So imagine a stage.
Oh yeah.
So you know the stage where they do the bench
Yep.
at, right? So it's that same stage, and you have to walk out there and just in your tights, your spandex like shorts or whatever, in front of all 32 31 owners and GMs, 32 GMs, but obviously just 31 owners and the Packers president or whoever the hell that is. But you literally have to stand in front of them on stage in just your tights, and they just like measure you, and then you have to turn to your side, and all the teams are like taking notes, and then turn to your face, so your back is facing them. And I was like, man, you feel very objectified in that moment.
Are you doing like any push-ups beforehand? Like, I gotta look good when I go on stage.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's pump going.
Yes. So it's funny because again, it's the day before, which I think they strategically plan that because they know players are gonna. Okay, let me go ahead and get 20 real quick on the bench, just so I can bulk up real quick before stepping out onto the stage. But it's odd because then before that you have to visit every single team's doctor, and you have to lay on the table, and they literally, and I'm not figuratively speaking here, they literally poke and pry at you. Your knees, your each toe, each finger, even your ears, and matching your medical records up to how you're looking in person. Yeah.
That's absolutely crazy. Did anything ever come up with any of your medical records where they're like, "Oh, your pinky toe on this? Did you like?" And you're like, "I hit the coffee table in the lobby. Like, I didn't mean to."
Good question, man. Now, fortunately for myself, I was very lucky. Concussions, of course. I had two pretty bad ones in college. Obviously, those came up, but yeah, pretty fortunate to have gone unscathed in the sense when it comes to significant injuries.
Yeah,
Up
that
until I
that
obviously
was
tore my groin.
that was going to be my question was, for your rookie season and the following season to come to an end because of a groin injury. I
Yeah,
was wondering if that was something that came up prior to them
right.
drafting you or something. But that's interesting that was just that was something new that popped up for you.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
man. It was very weird actually because it's not funny in the sense of I'm laughing, but it's just weird how it all came about because in August 4th of 2014, yes,
Mhm.
August 4th of 2014, my appendix went out. Um Woke up with excruciating pain at like 2 a.m. in my gut. And I'm like, what the heck is this? This is during training camp. So
Mhm.
I'm in a hotel. I'm like, whatever. I managed to go back to sleep, woke up, got to the facility and was about to practice, but I couldn't get my pads on. And then so I go see the team doc. Doc's like, all right, I'm pretty sure he kind of already knew. And he was like, all right, let's go get you an MRI, etc. Well, my appendix was about to rupture. Now the reason why I'm sharing this is because after I had my appendectomy, I was back on the field practicing in 3 weeks, which is kind of fast. But I think that had a lot to do with my groin going out because my core was very, very weak when I was
Mm.
back practicing. And so a lot of my movements, a lot of my bursts, planting on the field wasn't coming from my abdomen. You know what I mean? It wasn't coming from there. It was coming a lot from my groin, my legs, and I wasn't really using my abs and all of that to, move. And so I think I lost a lot of internal stability, which, my groin shot out.
Yeah, it's always so crazy to me, like these little things that you would never recognize. Like, again,
Yeah.
I played Division II baseball and I was a bench warmer, but I was literally walking down the stairs like on our campus, and I felt like I got like shot by a paintball gun in my back, and I was like, "What the hell was
Ooh.
that?"
Ooh.
And like my back was just bothering me. I went to the trainer and they were like, "Yeah, your like opposite hamstring is like really tight." Like it was like my lower right back, and they were like, "Yeah, it's your left hamstring that's like messing up your back." And I was like, you just like never put 2 and 2 together. Like
Exactly.
I have an appendectomy.
Exactly.
So like, I'm not going to have as much torque with my abs, like when I'm cutting. So it's going to be on my groin. It's crazy. Like when you break it down, what actually happens.
Exactly. And and for me, yeah, it really showed me how important it is to work on your core, your core strength, which every single sport needs that core strength. That's where your power comes from. And so, yeah, I lost a lot of that. And then, so I tore my groin and then tried to rush back because on our schedule, we were playing the St. Louis Rams when they were in St. Louis. And obviously that's where I'm from. So I was, and we were going to play there. So I was like, okay, I got to make sure I'm back because I'm going to have a lot of family at the game. Well, fast forward to the game, I tear my groin again. And they placed me on IR, and that was the last game check that I received.
That's crazy.
Yeah, my football career started in St. Louis, Missouri, and it ended in St. Louis, Missouri.
A little bit poetic, like to that, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, but I brought it up because it's interesting because of players like Todd Gurley who coming into the NFL had, you know, there were red flags about his knee, and now I don't even think he's reached 30 yet. I think he's still 27, 28. And we're seeing the effects of, you know, the pre-draft reports about his knee, where now he has arthritis in that knee,
man,
and that load management is coming into play. So that was sort of why I brought it up, because those things, you know, you're getting poked and prodded, and eventually it does come out.
It does, and and obviously you guys know when you're playing the running back position, or the running back position is the most beat up position. And so it's tough, man. And that's why, you know, if there's any running backs out there who may listen to this or what have you, you really have to go above and beyond to take care of your body. You really, really do, because your body deteriorates the fastest when compared to other positions.
Or move to wide receiver.
Right. So true. Catch the ball and fall, you know, dodge contact.
Get out of bounds real quick. So obviously, like you said, running backs get beat up, number one beat up position in the NFL. Were you shocked to see 2 running backs go in the first round this year?
I actually was. I actually really, really was. And because I thought we were in the generation or the time where, you know, running backs are no longer going first round. I thought that was kind of behind us, but I was actually really, really shocked to see that. And we can actually go ahead and jump right into it, man, because I think this is actually a conversation that I want to speak on real quick. And that is, so we had obviously Najee, and we knew those two were going to go. And Etienne, I actually watched a lot in college because, and this may sound selfish, he was close to beating my touchdown record.
Yeah, had to keep an eye on him.
So I kept a very close eye on him. And obviously Najee, I never know how to say his name, but obviously Alabama, of course, everybody's watching him. Very shocked to see 2 running backs go in the first round, because I think the last time that happened was Doug Martin and David Wilson, I believe, 2012 draft.
That's impressive. That's an impressive pull right there, Montee.
Well, because I was going to leave that year to the NFL, and I decided not to. And so when I stayed in Wisconsin, I was like, okay, where I saw those 2 get drafted to the Buccaneers and the Giants. And I was like, I could have been a Buccaneer or a Giant. But yeah, I'm surprised. What about you guys?
I'm shocked just because, and no disrespect when I say this, but I feel like with running backs, you can kind of plug and play them a little bit.
You can.
Even just looking at from a Jets roster standpoint, their most productive running backs this year were guys that were on their practice squad or they got off other practice squads. And it's like, yo, these guys, maybe they're running angry. I don't know. I'm not, you know, I never played running back, so I don't really know the ins and outs and the mental side of it. But you very rarely see somebody pick up their 5th-year option on a running back. So why not just wait till the second round and you can get a stud like Javonte Williams? You can grab somebody like that who's an A+ talent in the second round.
Yes.
And you don't have to worry about getting, you know, beat up by your fan base if you don't pick up their 5th-year option. If you look at the guys that got their 5th-year option, Saquon was hurt, but they picked up his 5th-year option.
Which we knew that.
Obviously, yeah. Jerry extended down there in Texas. He was paying everybody. But I mean, Zeke's got a little bit banged up. Like, you see these guys, unless they're like an elite, like have to have them, can't miss. I don't, especially in the top 15 or 20 picks. You know, you saw Clyde Edwards-Helaire go with the last pick in the first round, like whatever. But I just don't see you really using that fifth-year option, because if you're going to use these guys like a bell cow and run them into the ground, it's like the fifth-year option. It's like, is it almost worth picking up at this point?
Exactly, and that's the thing is, I'm so glad you bring that up, because this is a topic that I love to speak on, because obviously I'm biased playing running back, but we are in the time where, well, we've been in the time where we're starting to see the running back position is there's not really much value. I mean, there is, but across the board, there is not a lot of value. You're seeing these disproportionate payouts. It's not proportionate to the other payouts to the other running backs. And you're right. That's the reason why, is because it's a dime a dozen. You can, kind of pick and pull and choose and play somebody in that spot who can just get the right amount done. You know what I'm saying? You're not looking for a Derrick Henry. You're not looking for a Dalvin or an Alvin. It's you may just be looking for somebody who can just manage, maybe get 3 to 4 yards, protect the football, and knows how to play on third down. And that's where, unfortunately for us running backs, that's where the game is at. And so I'm very, very shocked to see 2 running backs go in the first round, because that's just not the direction that the sport is going. I'm for it, but it kind of threw me in for a loop. It really did.
And what's interesting is the fact that two running backs went in the first round, but then for round 3 and 4, there was only one running back in each round. Obviously, 2 and 3, there was only one round or one running back.
We took one. Broncos took one, which shocked
Williams, me. And then third round, the 49ers took Trey Sermon.
That's right. And I and of course, my name keeps coming up now once they drafted this running back at Denver, and I'm just like, this is going to be interesting. I was not expecting for them to draft a running back, but also it does make sense, because, please correct me if I'm wrong, so obviously the Broncos have Melvin Gordon, but the Broncos also took what's his name? We got another running back that we got during the offseason. Yes, that's right.
Or Royce
and now
Freeman.
we just Royce. No, we snagged, I think we snagged a running back, I think, from the Vikings, right? I think we did. Let me pull that up. Okay. Gosh, what was that, his name? We took him from the Broncos, but I'll find that here in a second. But I was very shocked to actually see them draft running back, because that just doesn't seem like something that they would do, because they have Royce Freeman and obviously Melvin Gordon. Royce is not a terrible running back. I think he actually has shown that he's
improved a lot.
He really has. He has the vision, and I'll tell you what, he's faster than I thought he was. I'll say that. Yeah. I will say that. And so that actually shocked me to see the Broncos take a running back in the draft that high.
When you see guys getting taken in the draft, what are you looking at from, like, obviously you're not going to go and break down every college game that they've ever played or all their stats, right, but like, what are some of the intangibles that you can, is it vision that you're looking for? What are some of the things that we, like a normal fan, wouldn't really notice on the field that this running back's like an elite running back, not just because of his speed or his power, but his like vision or his like, picking up blitzes or something like that?
Yeah. Again, when it comes to, when I watch running backs in college, obviously you want to see, how if they're flashy or not. That's always a plus. Don't understand why, but it just is. But when it comes to college football as a running back, the number one question that you're always going to get when it comes to the combine, when it comes to any sort of personnel you're going to speak to in the NFL, if that's where you're trying to get to, is how well do you play on third down? Okay. That's just what it is. Because they don't expect for you to get 10 yards on the first down or second down. They expect for you to get 3 yards. That's about it. 3 yards is a really, really good productive run in the NFL. But they want to see how you're going to do on third down. How can we extend this drive? How can you pass block, pass pro in the NFL when you have defenses that disguise their blitzes very well, when you have these very sophisticated offensive schemes when it comes to 6-man protection, 7-man protection, scanning the defense?
I think that the lateral movement comes into it as well, because I mean that's where that shuttle in the 20-yard shuttle and the 40-yard shuttle come into play, because those blitzes, if they do fool you, then you need to be able to pivot and get across the other side of the line of scrimmage to help with pass pro.
Pick
And
somebody.
I think that's where Leonard Fournette really played a big role for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this past year. They picked him up, and while he was productive running the ball in the playoffs during the season, he was elite at pass pro.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you have to be. I mean, I was fortunate to play, side by side with Peyton Manning, and it's you can be the greatest runner ever on first and second down, but you're not going to touch the field on third down if you cannot read a defense, if you can't understand pass pro or any changes. And obviously, I share that experience because obviously the Buccaneers have Tom Brady. Fournette had a lot of learning to do, and he actually proved it. He proved that he is capable of being that every down back, and that was very, very impressive. So the running back that I was thinking about, guys, Mike Boone.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. We took Mike Boone I think 6-7 weeks ago. So I was shocked to see the Broncos get a running back draft that high.
And actually, it's the highest they've drafted a running back since you.
Really?
Yes, it's the highest they've drafted a running back since Montee Ball.
Oh, wow. Hopefully this guy's not a bust. No, it's so funny. I love talking about that stuff because I barely did anything in the NFL, and I'm very open about that. I was too busy partying and yeah, but yeah, I'm hoping that he does well because the Broncos need it. Melvin Gordon is a really good running back, but it's a lot of they're going to take a lot of carries this season.
Yeah,
lot.
And for a guy that played with you, being Melvin Gordon, obviously he's got some tread on those tires.
He does.
So not calling you old, but he's been around for a few years.
No, I hear you.
And so for the running back position, I mean, it's incredible that he's still productive as he is.
Yeah. Melvin is. It's funny. He just tweeted at me, I think 2 days ago. We were talking about something, him and James. Yeah, he's been banged up before, his knees. It's funny because I got a picture of him right here on my PC. But yeah, his knees were a little banged up, but he seems like he's healed up nicely and is doing well. I'm just interested to see what's going to happen with the quarterback position. I know that we got Teddy, of course.
Gloves.
Yeah. Yeah, but do you guys hear the talk about Aaron Rodgers?
I have heard that.
about
possibly going to Denver.
So if that happens, Broncos fans have to just be like, well, this is just going to keep happening to the end of time. Like we'll just have like a couple down years, then we'll just get an elite quarterback at the end. He'll get us a Super Bowl, couple down years, and then an elite quarterback. Not a bad place to be.
But here's the thing. I think Aaron Rodgers has a lot more of his prime left than Peyton Manning did.
I agree.
Oh yeah. Peyton
I
Manning's
agree
neck
with
was
that.
shot when he came to Denver.
I think his neck was 3 feet long. I mean, can you confirm or
and
deny
it was, that? I can confirm that. And we always joked about it too in the locker room. And Peyton also his ankles too.
Really?
Yeah, most people don't know that. And well, I'm not sharing personal information. He has spoke about this, of course. But his ankles, his ankles were a little beat up the last 2 years of his career there, maybe 3, and it's just he was pretty banged up. But I do agree with you there on that Aaron Rodgers take. I actually do. If Aaron Rodgers, so here's my thing. I think not only does he want to leave Green Bay because please correct me if I'm wrong, the Packers have not picked a first-round draft pick on the offensive side of the ball in 7 years?
Well, last year they picked Jordan Love.
Yeah, an offensive weapon.
Well, outside of outside of Jordan Love.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I would be livid if I was him.
Well, it's every year they're like, oh man, like they're just one wide receiver away, they're one playmaker away, and they're like, how about we take a cornerback? It's like, what are we doing?
It's so true. And so I would be livid. So obviously that has to be a huge issue for him. And then 2, him being engaged or married or what have you, whatever stage they're in, with Shailene, the actress. And since she's a big time actress, I'm assuming she's living in LA. So he probably wants to be more on the West Coast. And He went to school
from
in
there.
Cal. I think he's from Cal, right?
Yeah, he went to junior college in California and went to Cal.
Went to Cal, yeah. So I mean, he probably wants. It's a win-win for him. Denver or I think 49ers run the talks too.
Vegas too, the Raiders.
In Vegas, that's right. So
I just and I know he said he was even thinking about retiring if he doesn't get any help. Which, like, if you think about it, he's played 16 years in the NFL. He's won a Super Bowl, MVP. He doesn't need anything anymore. Like, yeah, he's still got some left in the tank, but like, he doesn't have anything to prove anymore. Everyone knows he's a Hall of Famer. Like, if he's just like, look, I'm unhappy playing the sport. I mean, do whatever you got to do, man. I'm kind of with him there.
So true. And he also wants to host Jeopardy till the end of time, or till the end of his time. And so the man we all know, can most likely double his salary when he retires. You know what I'm saying?
He will be fine.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be in movies with his wife, all the above. Who knows?
So I did a little bit of quick research.
Yeah.
The Green Bay Packers have not drafted an offensive player outside of Brian Bulaga since Aaron Rodgers was drafted in 2005.
That's like, come on, man. Like, come on, man. Bulaga and Jordan Love.
Yes, those are the only two offensive players that have been drafted in the first round since 2005.
What was AJ Dillon was probably like a second or third round pick.
Yep, right. AJ Dillon was a second round pick. Devontae Adams, second round pick.
Come on, man. I'm livid if I'm
Give
him.
this man some help.
I'm livid.
Literally. What? He's almost 40 and he's a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. Give him help. Like, if I was the
Marquez Valdez-Scantling, 5th round pick.
If I was the Packers, I would have basically told Aaron Rodgers, you pick who you want, and we'll just get him. Like, you, and at some point, and you probably could speak on this a little bit more than, anybody else here, but you have to, like, Peyton Manning is one of those guys I feel like that if he said, I want this guy in the first round, and he's still got 5 years left of, playing football, you kind of he's earned your respect. He's done everything for this organization. Like, give him the pick. It's 1 year's first round pick. Like, if he's a bust, then don't ever do it again, but at least give him the opportunity to get the guy that he wants.
I agree. And that's happening for sure. I mean, there were many times where Peyton was yelling at our offensive coordinator, telling him that it's my offense, not yours.
Well,
and I was just like,
I mean, it would have been my offense if I was running it.
Right. Good old Goose. But we and Brady was after James. James White. This recently, he wanted James before James resigned. He was after him. That stuff happens when you obviously you've proven that you're an elite quarterback for 2 decades. Just about you. Yeah, it's pretty much. They're probably if they're not sitting in the war room during the draft, they're probably shooting some tags back and forth with the GM. That's for sure. They have some pull, and I think Aaron Rodgers deserves that. And knowing that statistic right there, I would be saying the exact. I would have been probably saying this sooner.
This is a little bit off of the draft topic, but we mentioned pass pro with running backs, and my weird football brain went to work. Did you ever have one of those damn it Donald moments with Peyton where you missed the blitz and he had to scramble? Just damn it, Montee.
Dude, almost probably 5 or 6 times, but the worst one, which I thought I would never see the field again, was my rookie year. We go to Seattle to play Seattle. Now this was that my rookie year? I think that was my rookie year. Yeah, I can't remember. But long story short,
is this the 43-8 year? Sorry, don't mean to bring up bad memories.
Right. But long story short, Bobby Wagner came flying up the gut, and I missed a block, and he just crushes Peyton. Just one of those like gut tackles, and like Peyton's just released the ball, and he got just smoked. And I was pretty scared. I was like, oh God, this is it. I'm done. They're never gonna let me. I mean, he just got and it's Peyton Manning. We just talked about his injuries, his neck.
It's literally the sheriff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. But he screamed at me. Yeah, he was like, damn it, Montee, get him out of here.
Oh no.
Yeah, and I sat out for like the next 2 series.
When that happens, do you go up after the, not after the play, but after the game, and you're like, hey man, like about that, kind of sorry, like, or do you just like take your and tuck your tail between? Because like I don't know what I would do. Like I only played football into 9th grade, so I wasn't worried about pass blocking or anything like that.
I'm glad that this conversation came up because I talk about this a lot. Where I wonder how I would have been in the NFL if I played with like a Kirk Cousins or somebody. It's a lot of pressure playing with Peyton Manning. The Peyton Mannings and the Tom Brady's. It's very, very. It's a lot of anxiety because you have to make sure that you're on it. You have to. The offense is changing every single week. The signals are changing. Peyton demands perfection on the field, which is no surprise to anyone. He is a perfectionist. And so it's very, very challenging. And so, yeah. What was your question? Sorry, I can go on rant and then I forget.
Did you ever like apologize after, like at the end of the game, like, hey man, sorry about missing that block?
Always on the team bus. So after, if it's an away game, we'd shower, obviously do the interviews, get on the team bus, and I would always kind of like sit behind him or right next to him, and we would obviously talk about, we're on the team bus to the airport. We would talk about the play because he is immediately looking at his iPad and already looking at the film of the game. That's how fast he gets to already prepping and getting things in his brain. So we would talk, and sometimes we would talk on the plane too. But yeah, I would go back to him, with my tail in between my legs and be like, that's my bad on that play.
Were they pretty cool? Was he pretty cool about it? Like, just don't let it happen again, or did he like chew into you at that point?
Or does he have like arm around your neck sort of moment? Like, all right, so this is where you did wrong. Like
Peyton is one of those guys. He was always pretty cool after the fact when you're talking about it and stuff. He understands the learning curve with his offense. His offense is not similar to most. You can have about 3 to 4 plays that you can change the play to with like 4 seconds left on the game clock.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, on the play clock. And so it's one of those where after the fact he was always pretty cool about it, but in the moment, man, I mean, we got into a heated battle one time. It was during the Super Bowl actually. Got into like a screaming battle between him, and then I was like, oh gosh, they're cutting me for sure. But it's pretty cool, guys. So what was probably, I got a question for you guys. What was your guys' shock thus far of the draft? Mine pretty quick. Trey Lance. That was a huge surprise to me, going that high.
I was gonna say J.C. Horn getting first offensive player taken off the board. I felt was kind of shocking. And then just from the Jets standpoint, the Jets actually trading up to get a lineman to protect your quarterback. I was like, thank you, God.
The Jets understand they're playing football now.
They're like looking competent almost. It's crazy.
And then the Bears.
Similarly to what we were talking about earlier about going, text messages going on back in the background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jamar Chase showing up to the draft in orange and black shoes. I think there was text messaging going on like, hey, I talked to Zach. You're coming to Cincinnati. Like I think there was when I saw Jamar Chase show up in orange and black shoes, I was like, there is zero chance we're picking Penei Sewell or Kyle Pitts. Like there is 0.0 chance it's going to be Jamar Chase. And sure enough, it was. I think that was the shock actually for me was seeing the orange and black shoes and going, holy shit, he knows.
Yeah. And then it's, you get those questions like, did you know? And running backs, no. Running backs don't really know. And again, we've just spoke on that. Dime a dozen. You don't know where you're going as a running back. But as a receiver, obviously quarterback, maybe even top left tackle, you kind of got a good feeling where you're going.
And I think the really big shock for me was how the Raiders somehow completely shit their pants with their first round pick. But then nailed the second round pick. Their second round pick could have easily been the first round pick, but somehow they still got him in the second round. It was amazing. I don't know how they did that.
That's the Raiders for you right there. That's good old Chucky and them over there. That's just wild. So my surprise outside of Trey was not Justin Fields going that high. We obviously knew he was going to go high, but the Bears
I
traded
was
for
shocked they
him.
made a move.
Right?
Is
I mean, good
is
for
that a
them.
GM move where it's like, hey, we have to make a splash right here to keep our jobs? Is that, I wonder if that's what it was, or if they were like, they legitimately were like, we need to get a more dynamic
I
passer
mean,
because that's how the
come
NFL is
on.
going.
Right. I mean, come on. I talking about the Bears, I always say it seems like that position they always make lateral moves. It's not a step forward. They don't
Absolutely.
progress.
Yeah.
It's lateral movements that they make with that position. You get rid of Mitch or whatever, and you get Andy Dalton. Like, come on, it's lateral movements, and just to see them step forward like that and make a trade like that to get a dominant quarterback, I think Justin Fields is going to shock a lot of people. We all know that he's a really good player, but I think that he's going to perform better than we expect.
And then second round for them to move up and get Tevin Jenkins.
Yeah,
Another good move.
Don't forget the Bears paid Mike Glennon. Let's not forget where we were just a few years ago.
Yeah, I see. People have been disenfranchised with the Bears for a long time, but they're trying their hardest to bring them back.
Well, because here's the thing. When we speak about this, I'm always like, when I'm talking to RJ, and on our podcast, I'm like, because obviously he's a diehard Packers fan. I'm like, dude, why is it that I can rattle off other organizations that go all in maybe on a year? Chiefs, Buccaneers. I mean, we can keep going on these teams who just say, you know what, we're gonna go all in and just get the superstars, make it happen this year, Super Bowl or bust. Why don't the Packers do that? Why don't the Packers do that?
It's the same reason they don't take a first round offensive weapon. And I don't know if it's like they're in their old school mindset of like, we have championships, or, what I mean? Like that we've been dominant since the inception
We'll build
of the
internally.
NFL. It's like,
Right.
but it's not how it works anymore. You have to make moves in free agency. You have to make splashes.
You have to
at least try to go out. Like, even if I'm like, for example, again, I'm a Jets fan. So Corey Davis, the Jets signed him to like a 3-year deal.
Mhm.
If he went to the Packers, Aaron Rodgers would probably be ecstatic. And he's not even like a number one, you know what I mean? But he's just like an offensive guy that's a nice complementary piece, and he's a good wide receiver. And it's like, that's not even like a splash move. You know what I mean? It's not like you're trading for D-Hop like, the Cardinals did. But if you even do something like that, it's like, all right, maybe Aaron Rodgers is a little bit happy, and he's a piece you can use.
And you think about the year the Packers did win the Super Bowl. They had brought in Charles Woodson. They had brought in, they brought in, I mean, not obviously not an offensive weapon, but they brought in
a playmaker.
They brought in playmakers.
Yeah. He's a player that can change the outcome of a game. Charles Woodson is a gold jacket for a reason. And you guys are right. It's if I was a Packers fan, I'd be very frustrated because you see these teams do that. You see these teams go all out to say, look, we're pushing all our chips.
You can literally, he's sitting at home. I mean, he's not like wide receiver 1 anymore, but he's definitely wide receiver 2. You know what I mean?
You still have to prep against him or for him if you're the defense.
And then I mean, we were just talking about the Bears. I mean, it didn't work out, but the Bears went all in. I mean, they signed Allen Robinson from the Jaguars. They traded for Khalil Mack. They drafted Mitch Trubisky. They traded up for no reason to get him.
Right.
They went all in, but it didn't work out.
But look, it's if the Packers are I think they're in one of the best positions, best spots, because since they haven't done it really ever. I mean, and since the last time they obviously won the Super Bowl against the Steelers, it's they should just do it. Say, look, how many chips do we got? We're pushing them all in the middle this year. Look, I'm not going to sit here and think that Rodgers is bluffing. If I'm the GM, I'm like, I don't think he's bluffing. Screw it. Let's just do it.
But not even Aaron Rodgers shouldn't even have to bluff or make a statement. It's like, we have 4 years of Aaron Rodgers, like 3 years in his prime. If we have one Super Bowl with him, he should have won at least one more. Let's put it all in right here while he's healthy and is still playing at an elite level. Like, what are we going to do? We're going to wait for Jordan Love and hopefully a guy from Utah State, like not known for quarterback play, is going to bring us to the Super Bowl. And nothing against him, obviously, but it's like Aaron Rodgers. You're not going to be able to replace Aaron Rodgers. Like, you don't see that in the NFL where it's Brett Favre for 16 years and Aaron Rodgers for 16 years. That doesn't happen.
Hall of Famers for 30 years over 30 years,
2 Super Bowls.
You've had 2 Super Bowls, 2 gold jacket players in the quarterback position. You've only been to 2 Super Bowls. That is a direct reflection.
Yeah, the freaking
of the GM and the president, etc.
The Browns
owner.
I was gonna say the Browns have had 35 quarterbacks in those 32 years. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's unfathomable to only go to 2 Super Bowls. You're right. It's
we
a
had
direct reflection on the ownership. Or not.
We had Amon Green on the show, and we talked to him. And we're like, you are directly related. You're directly linked to over 30 years of Green Bay Packers quarterbacks.
Directly linked.
2 Super Bowls.
That's not okay. That's not okay.
You know, one player, 30 years between he played for, Favre at the end, Rodgers at the beginning. And it's incredible to me. They only have the one.
2.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is we talk about this. You got the Cardinals going out on a limb and grabbing J.J. Watt. They're like, all right, we're just going to do it. This is a beat up player. He's going to be expensive. We probably shouldn't pay him this much, but screw it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it, because what if this is his year to turn it around and ball
always
out?
Going up. You know what I mean? It's not going down. So like,
keep going up.
It's almost like buying a house with inflation. It's like, yeah, it's $1 today, but in 10 years, it's going to be 80 cents. So, you know what I mean? Like with the cap space, like, yeah, it may be a hit this year, but in 3 years, that hit for JJ Watt or whoever, not JJ Watt's a bad example, but for whatever player that's on the back end of his career, it's not going to be nearly as big of a hit as it is this year in 3 years.
Exactly.
Down the line.
So that's why it's like, why can't the Packers do that? They don't make and I'm going to speak on something here. There's a lot. What I'm noticing is the same kind of stuff happens with Wisconsin Badgers football when it comes to the recruitment. We are stuck in the model of the JJ Watt. We're going to get a player, a walk-on, and we're going to mold him into a player, and he's going to be dominant in the NFL. So that is the model that they have since JJ, and obviously prior to that with Jimmy Leonard and stuff, but they don't go above and beyond to go to Cali, go to Florida, go to these warm places, visit and snag some players from these warm places. I knew somebody who used to work there, and they shared that information with me that they don't put a lot of money or resources into going and grabbing these players from warm states because they think, well, they're not going to come to a cold state. How do you know? Go to their living room and talk to them and their parents, etc. Go try. I wouldn't want to go to your school if you're not going to even come visit.
They try to put a wall around the state of Wisconsin and just recruit internally, but I don't know if you know this. Wisconsin high school football is not Florida high school football.
Also,
exactly.
You got to think about it. We have a friend, Mark Miller, who talks about how the Carolinas are now getting better at football. They weren't necessarily a high school football hotbed, but people are tired of the cold. Like, people are moving from Wisconsin. They're moving from middle America down to the South to be warm. So like, you don't know that like X, Y, and Z. They may have grew up in Florida. They may have grew up in Texas, but their family's from Wisconsin. Or their family's from Nebraska. They're from the Midwest. They go back up there. They like the cold. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't know that until you get down there and sit in the living room and pitch. Wisconsin is a blue blood, like, top tier college football, like program. Why would you not at least pitch yourself?
I don't. Yeah, and it's been frustrating with, obviously I'm a diehard Badgers fan, and but I it's frustrating because I'm like, let's go all out on our recruiting. And so I share that because the Packers, it's this model of Wisconsin sports. It seems like, well, I don't want to say Wisconsin sports, just the Packers and obviously the Badgers, where it's make a splash, go all out on a player, go above and beyond. Take a player to France or something, or the Eiffel Tower or some stuff, like, you know what I mean? Throw the bag out and throw out the red carpet, but that doesn't happen. And I want the Packers to do it because I'm just watching my brother-in-law deteriorate.
So Montee, I only have one more thing I wanted to wrap up with.
Yeah, man.
So we spoke with Lofa Tatupu recently, and
awesome.
And we asked Lofa about his experience when he actually got the call, and just to rehash, he was at a beach house of a friend of his dad's, and it was beautiful in Southern California. But little did he know that that beach house did not get any cell reception. So, so we were
Oh,
talking about it, and we're like, Joe Thomas can
he's on
be
a
out
boat.
on a boat and get the phone
Hmm.
call and answer it, and Lofa Tatupu is on dry land at a beach house and doesn't get the call, and so he, so he's watching the TV, watching the draft, and he sees, oh, the Seattle Seahawks traded up. Seattle Seahawks, the pick is in. Dun, 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 dun. Lofa Tatupu, the University of Southern California, and that was how he found out. He found out on the TV, and it was at that point that everyone's checking their phones and
Right.
see. And his mom had like 9 missed calls from John Schneider or Mike Holmgren. Sorry, Mike Holmgren.
That's what I was just about to say. I was like, because prior to them announcing your name on the television, obviously you've been talking to the team for the last 25 minutes, talking to the GM, maybe the owner, the president, all personnel. And then you talk to their front staff because you have to give them their information because they're going to purchase you a flight and you're going to fly out the next day for interviews, etc. And so that's about a 20 to 25-minute process. And then you see it announced on the television. So that's crazy.
Yeah, they said, do you even want to play football? It was pretty hard to get a hold of you. And he's like, oh, absolutely, I do.
Oh, I know they were pissed too. I know they were like joking around with that, but they were pissed.
Yeah, it's like when someone says something jokingly, but deep down it's the truth.
Yeah, they were pissed too.
so if you don't mind, could you go through what the process was for you, where you were, and all that?
Yeah, man. So I didn't have the opportunity to go to New York. I think it was Lacey or maybe Trent. I can't remember.
It was Trent,
but I think it was Trent. Yeah, that actually went to New York, and for me, I wanted to be around friends and family anyways. So what I did was I rented out a banquet hall in a hotel in Madison, Wisconsin. Had family drive up from Missouri, friends obviously here in Wisconsin attend. And I knew that I obviously wasn't going to go the first day. I was talking to my agent. He was like, yeah, you're most likely not going to go first round. So I was like, okay. So I still had the gathering, drinks, food, just
in case.
A good time.
You don't want, you don't be sitting in your pajamas getting the call.
Exactly. And so, obviously nothing happened first round, but second day, my agent was like, okay, today should be your day. And obviously he was right. So yeah, it was one heck of an experience, man. So I'm in a banquet room. Obviously the draft is going on.
Do you have like cameras and stuff there as well?
Yeah. Yep.
You see all like the live streams of people getting chosen. So
right.
I wasn't sure if they had the cameras there for you as well.
Yeah. There was one news team there. Because we all kind of knew, okay, he should be going second or third. And so I was hanging out. I went 58th overall, of course. So obviously there were multiple picks prior to me. Once the draft started, the second round, and I was a little nervous because they took so no, it wasn't Trent. It was Lacey went because the first running back taken was Giovanni Bernard. Or was it? Can't remember. But I know that in the second round, the first back was Giovanni, and then it was Le'Veon Bell. And I was a little nervous. I was like, oh, snap. I was like, oh, goodness, what's going on here? And then I was fortunate enough to get the 303 phone number come through my phone, and it said Denver, Colorado. And I stood up. I was shaking my dad's arm because, he's a Broncos fan, and that's how I jumped on the bandwagon as a child to become a Broncos fan. My mom starts crying. My dad's tears are coming down his face. My sisters, I'm on the phone, and it's Elway. And introduced himself, of course, and then he said, would you like to become a Bronco? And it was a moment I'll never forget because I grew up a fan of the Broncos, and I wanted to be a running back for the Broncos, so I accomplished it. And even though it didn't go as planned, it's still something that can never be taken away from me. So it was a fun experience. It really, really was. And so I flew out. Oh, actually, no, got drunk that night. Flew out the next morning to Denver, did everything, then flew back like 7 hours later. And I'm sure you can expect what I did in the city of Madison. After just flying back from Denver, just being the 58th overall pick. It was a fun time, man.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It was a fun time.
Yeah. So actually, yep, it was Giovanni Bernard.
Okay.
And then
it should have been Le'Veon to the Steelers.
Le'Veon Bell to the Steelers.
Yep. Then me. Then Lacey 30. I think the Packers would have taken me if I wasn't off the board already because it was Broncos then Packers.
Yep.
And
Broncos, Patriots, Packers. Oh, sorry.
Broncos,
Broncos, Patriots, Falcons, Packers.
Okay, Broncos.
You could have been a Falcon. You could have been played in Atlanta.
I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that at all. Yeah, but it's a cool experience. I always tell people it's exactly what you think. That's just what it is. It's exactly what you think. But this was fun, fellas. This was very fun. And again, we didn't get too much into the draft, but I kind of feel like there wasn't that many surprises.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. I'm still trying to catch up, of course, to it should be going on right now, right?
Does it start at 12 or does it start right now?
I think it's. No, I'm not sure. Oh, it is kind of early, but this was fun, guys.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it's always a pleasure having you on, Montee. Where can people find you online?
Absolutely. You guys can find me on Twitter at Montee Ball 28. Obviously our Untapped Keg page. So I have my own podcast as well, Untapped Keg, with my brother-in-law. We talk about sobriety. We talk about mental health, all of the above. And so please come check us out. We really appreciate all the help that we've received from Knee Brace Radio. So to all the listeners who are listening, you guys listen to some cool cats.
And then also, I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier. We were texting back and forth earlier this week.
Yeah.
I'm almost 2 months sober.
There you go, man.
Thanks in large part to Montee and his brother-in-law. And I feel great. I was
gonna say, how you feeling?
I feel great. The weight's not coming off as fast as I want it to, but it will. That'll come. That'll come.
Unfortunately, that's as the older we get, the tougher that gets.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but
that's cool, man.
But yeah, thanks so much, Montee, and make sure you forward my appreciation to RJ as well.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
And we'll have to have you back on, of course. I mean,
please.
You're a good friend.
Please, man. I'm an open book, and we can talk about anything: conspiracies, football, golf, whatever. I'll share as much as I can. But yeah, I'd love to continue this relationship with you